We want to say thank you to our Patreon donors. So thanks this time to Sylvia, Tori, B-Mouse, Joy, and Meditating Mother. An extra special thanks this time to Miranda and Maria, who are like alien women, but the kind from 1950s movies where they're super leggy and gorgeous, and the only difference is that they're green.
You don't know where to go in this patriarchal capitalist hellscape. Well, here's the sitch, we're gonna help you, sis, because bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. And so can you. You want to know what I'm watching on mute while we record podcasts?
What is it?
I want you to take 3 guesses.
Is it tonsil stone removals?
No, but close.
Is it blackhead extractions?
It is blackhead extractions. Got it in 2.
Got it in 2. That feeling of like, now it's better. That's what I want out of a disgusting medical video.
Yes.
So I don't like the stuff that's like gross stuff to know.
Oh, yeah.
To know relief.
No. You can't just have like grossness for the sake of grossness. It's got to be like that, like satisfaction.
If I want grossness for the sake of grossness, I'm going to watch The Thing, which is a fantastic film.
Yes, absolutely. We have not referenced The Thing enough at bitchesgetriches.com, which is our internet blog.
I think we have a couple of times, but you're right. The quota's low.
Yeah, that's enough of that. I'm Piggy.
I'm Kitty.
We're the bitches in Bitches Get Riches.
We are 2 adult human women up for adoption in search of our forever homes.
And we're here to answer the bumper sticker question, who rescued who?
Our time on this planet is limited.
So let's get started.
Today's letter comes to us from Patreon supporter Aiden.
Thanks, Aiden!
I had a roommate, a really mediocre roommate, who had a cat named Aiden. And every time she came home from work, she would go, Aiden, puppy, come here, baby, Aiden.
I just got a cavity listening to you say that.
Anytime I see this name written down in my head, I hear a grown woman screaming in baby voice, Aiden, puppy, Aiden, puppy. All right, let's get to the question.
Okay.
Aiden asks, hello, I've been a longtime follower of your blog, but I'm now in need of financial advice, so here I am. I've been researching throughout the internet and all, but there isn't enough information about getting a first apartment. Like, what kind of hidden costs or whatever are important to know about in regards to getting an apartment? How much money will I end up spending in the initial months of moving into an apartment? What type of things do you wish you knew before moving into your first apartment? Advice is much appreciated. Thank you for taking the time to answer this question.
So I chose this question because I got my first apartment with you.
That's right. We did.
Yeah, we did. Aww. And I knew that we have A, learned a shit ton since then, and B, like probably made a couple of mistakes along the way that I hope Aiden and other readers can learn from.
Now seems like a great time to plug your new apartment, which is a fellow advice dispensing Tumblrite that we very much stan.
Yep. Good shit. So a lot of places will require you to have first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit. People who haven't had a first apartment might not know what a security deposit is.
Yeah.
The security deposit is typically equal to like 1 month's rent or like half a month's rent. So a security deposit is basically money you pay to the landlord that they can use when you move out to repair or clean the apartment.
Yeah, because you as a renter have the potential to cause massive damage to the entire building. Like, let's say the building is renting to you, and it turns out you are a wet bandit. Made famous in the film Home Alone, a gripping documentary. And your MO is that you stuff up the drains full of rags, and then you leave all of the water in the sink and the bathtub and everything on full blast for no reason other than spite. First of all, I wish you the inner peace that you need. I hope you get right with God.
Second of all, what a fucking monster.
You fucking wet bandit. you devil. But like, how does your apartment building know that you are someone who's not going to like just arbitrarily trash things or immediately move 15 other people in and sublet out to them, or start throwing super loud, destructive, like parties like you're a 1970s rock star, just like pee on the ceiling. Why not?
And also, like, good job if you managed to figure that out.
Did you know that that's a real anecdote that I know about Courtney Love?
What?
Yeah.
What? She peed on the ceiling?
I know someone who worked at a hotel that she stayed at, and they kept her security deposit because there was pee on the ceiling.
Oh my God, Courtney
Pee
Love.
on the ceiling.
God damn.
Well, and it couldn't have been her because, like, I don't want to sell my gender short.
But, like, she doesn't have the mechanics.
We can't aim this.
Although,
No,
okay,
our urethra's runway is as long as a driveway.
Listen, I know we don't do affiliates and marketing yet, but I do want to make a plug for one of my favorite products. It's called the Tinkle Bell, marketed to outdoorsy women for when you're camping, and it is a funnel made out of squeegee material. So it both allows you to pee standing up without taking your pants all the way down and wipe. It is the most amazing thing I have ever done in my life. And like when I'm camping or rock climbing or like doing anything outdoors, I like bring it with me and I drink gallons of water just so I can use it.
I wish you could see my face. Like,
you're horrified.
No, my eyes are like misted over. I'm so happy.
Anyway, but like without a tinkle bell, yes, it would be hard to pee on the ceiling.
Which does answer Aiden's question really well of how do I pee on the ceiling of my new apartment?
Question answered, roll credits. That's the episode. Ideally, if you've taken care of the apartment and you've cleaned it after you move out, like you get that money back. If you are a serial apartment dweller, you could pay like one security deposit the first time you get in an apartment and then just keep like rolling it over into a new apartment like every time you move, which is like great. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to address is like we're making a big deal about having first month's rent, last month's rent, a security deposit. How do you actually know what those numbers are? And I think the answer is deceptively simple. You need to get on fucking Craigslist and like start looking at apartment listings in the area where you want to live. Yeah. To find out
before you're looking for apartments.
So that you get a sense of how much the going rate is for an apartment in your area. Yeah. Because otherwise it's all just like up in the air. Like we're just talking about fake numbers. We're not talking about reality. But if you go on Craigslist or Zillow or like whatever other apartment finding app or site is in your area, like you'll get a sense of the average of what you need to save up.
I would even say like Craigslist, just go ahead and always throw away outliers. Mm-hmm. Craigslist has a lot of scams where it's like listing a studio that should be $2,000 in your city a month. It's listing it for like $1,100, and the photos are gorgeous. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's the catch? And then you reach out to them and they say like, oh, well, because we're not in the country, if you write us a check for this, and then it's like, all right, that was the catch, is that you're a Nigerian prince.
You are a Nigerian prince. Spoiler alert, Nigeria is a fucking democracy. They don't have princes. Like, if it looks too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. Yeah. Most apartments, like, look a little bit shitty, and that's fine. Like, that's why you buy curtains and whatever, to dress them up a little bit. You should be looking for, do the utilities work? You know? Does the heat work?
You should try flushing the toilet.
Mm-hmm. Do the windows close and open?
You should try running the tub on hot water for 5 minutes and then go feel underneath to make sure that there's still hot water coming out.
Mm-hmm. Turn on the stove. Yeah. Make sure all 4 burners actually work.
If they have like a pan there, put a drop of water in it and just see if it slides to one side or the other. That's how you know that the floors slope. And cooking on a stove in an apartment that has sloping floors. It can be done, but is a pain in my damn
raise your
ass.
hand if you've ever put like a stack of quarters under the foot of a stove.
Oh, I do wooden shims. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, those are the things that matter
Yeah.
more than, is it this quaint, adorable little place?
Something that I would say that I wish I had known before I moved into my first apartment is the proximity of your landlord, I think has a big impact. I have lived in the same building as a landlord, like where, say, they were living on the first floor and I was living in the apartment above them on the second floor. Too close.
Too close.
That's too close. That's entirely too close. Meanwhile, we have a mutual friend who had a terrible bed bug infestation. And when they brought it to their landlord's attention, their landlord didn't give a shit because their landlord lived like 3 states away and could only be reached by like failing to mail a rent check, when suddenly they would materialize and be like, how dare you not send me my money? Otherwise, I'm not going to answer any emails from you or requests to like do any kind of regular maintenance.
Christ.
I think the best apartment I ever lived in was where the landlord didn't live there now, but had lived there. That meant that if there were minor things that were wrong with the unit, he would have fixed them by then, you know, because he was living there. And so he understood the apartment deeply.
Absolutely.
If you can avoid having an absentee landlord, you want that. If you can avoid having a busybody landlord.
Yeah, you need to strike like a happy medium there.
Yeah.
I also want to say, on the note of landlords, let's talk about neighbors and neighbor noise. Yells. So I would say if you go to visit an apartment, do so while the neighbors are home. So generally that's in the evening when everyone's home from work. I rented a house once where the neighbors owned 14 Chihuahuas and 1 German Shepherd. So it constantly sounded like this.
I respect that diversity higher in that German Shepherd.
I just like, and it was fucking awful. And like, we had to like sneak into our backyard if we wanted to spend time out there and like be as quiet as possible. Because if the Chihuahuas like sensed that we were out there, they'd be like off for the races. So yeah,
living in close proximity to other people costs you less money because it's less expensive usually to rent an apartment than it is to rent a freestanding home on an acre of land or whatever. The trade-off is that you're kind of throwing the dice and just hoping to God that you don't have weird neighbors.
God, yes, please Jesus, don't have weird neighbors. I'd say like the initial months of moving into an apartment are probably the most expensive.
I think your first apartment expenses depend a lot on if you've lived semi-independently before or not. Have you been living in a dorm room where you have to own things like your own power strips? Or have you lived at home where maybe you had access to a communal pool of that through your family? So I think that has a big impact on what all you will need and what costs you will incur. I would say put aside at least 1 month's rent for buying stuff that you never planned on having to buy.
Oh, totally. A fucking dish rack.
Buying a dish rack. When you sign up for internet, you'll have to get a modem. And if you rent it, it's more expensive over time. So just buy
that shit.
Ideally, having that saved up just to get things that you know that you need, like, oh, I need a mattress and oh, I need a bookcase. But also lots of stuff that you won't know that you need, like, oh, I need a trash can. It's not very glamorous. And they're surprisingly pricey. We're huge proponents of buying things secondhand.
Absolutely.
I think that's both a cost-saving measure as well as a waste reduction measure because we're trying not to murder this planet with our own hands. Let's leave that to other more capable hands.
That's a long hashtag, but we stand by it.
You kind of need the luxury of time with some of those things. If, for example, say you do need a bookcase, you can sort of wait for the right one to come. And in the meantime, there's nothing wrong with stacking your books on the floor or leaving them in boxes in a closet somewhere. But there's other things that are like, oh no, I do need forks like immediately.
Yeah, that is the problem with getting a place. And I think that this gets to the heart of Aiden's question is that like, until you are living in a new home, you have no idea what you need or like
Bam.
what random bullshit, like stupid thing where you're like, well, I didn't know I needed this, but now I do.
Yeah.
And so I think your advice of having like at least a month's rent worth of money saved up to buy those random little incidentals is worthwhile.
Yeah.
Especially if you've never lived alone before.
And I think a lot of that is like a little aspirational, like it would be ideal. I divide things into 4 categories, whether it's urgent or not urgent, and whether it's cheap or expensive. Separating things out into those 4 quadrants is really helpful to me because I can say, oh, the urgent, cheap stuff, I'll just do that right away. Like spend $200 going to Target and just get those things. And then you can prioritize, maybe say like the expensive, not urgent stuff. What if I just didn't ever get that because I'm not living in this apartment for the rest of my damn life. This is my first apartment. I don't need to do things like get furniture that's perfectly tailored to the space or whatever. I can make do. And then you can kind of negotiate back and forth with the other 2 categories.
You can take your time with a lot of things as long as you like have the space. So like when I say have the space, I mean like once you've actually like secured an apartment.
There's a cliche about real estate, which is one of the 3 most important things.
Location, location, location.
And it's a cliche, but it is fairly true. I think no matter how perfect your space, if you have a 2-hour commute, it's going to suck ass.
It's going to suck ass.
Really just doing your research and focusing first on quality of life. If your dream apartment has like 2 bedrooms, that you can have one that's like a music room or whatever the hell, like, or having a wonderful kitchen because you love to cook, like blah, blah, blah. Listen, you're going to become a better musician if you don't have a music room for a while.
It's true.
You're going to become a better chef if you have a teeny tiny worthless kitchen for a while.
It's very true.
These things you will work through. What you will never be comfortable with in the long term is not being close to your work, not being close to school, not being close to any of your friends, and basically feeling like your home is just an expensive place that you come home to sleep.
Exactly.
We can aim higher than that.
We can aim higher than that. And I will say, like, your very first apartment, like, you shouldn't shoot to live there longer than 1 to 2 years. You know, like if you might get really lucky that it ticks all the boxes, but like, again, if it's your first time living alone or with roommates that aren't like blood relatives, like give yourself permission to take a year or 2 to get used to that situation before like making it better.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can live with a place. Like I want to reference one of our college apartments. Like Kitty has really low blood pressure. And I don't know if this is true to this day, but she had to like sit while taking showers because the hot water would just
that's still true.
Oh my goodness, look at that. So we had a shower that was like the prison shower on an aircraft carrier. Like it was it was like
The brig.
It was the brig shower. It was the tiniest fucking shower. And like a normal human who showers standing up, like did okay in it. It wasn't luxurious, but I was just like, whatever. I'm 21. Like I can endure anything for a year or so. But you like had to sit and like basically fold yourself into a like paperclip to shave your legs.
I had to sit crisscross applesauce on this like dirty vinyl. It was horrible.
It was awful. Bad. But we got through it.
We did.
And also in that apartment, like our dishwasher didn't work. And even if it did, it was the size of a fancy clutch. Like it was teeny. It was itty bitty.
It held a lip color and a tampon. Nary anything else.
And maybe like an iPhone 8. Like it was teeny.
Oh no, like an iPhone 4. It's got to be small. Smaller.
Okay,
get it smaller. Yeah.
Get it smaller. So we use it as a drying rack and like wash our dishes by hand. And like it was a fourth floor walk up. So we got we walked half the city to get home because like we didn't have no money for transportation, but and then we had to walk up 4 flights of stairs, but like we made it work and we made some pretty goddamn good meals and like we still kept up our personal hygiene while living there. So it was Like you will be surprised at the things you can live with.
Yeah, having a shitty apartment is like a beautiful rite of passage.
It really
You will
is.
have a shitty apartment. You will have shitty roommates. You'll have a shitty landlord at some point in your life, and you'll get through it. In terms of the actual space that you live in, I would say the space itself is a little bit less important than the people that you share it with.
Go in understanding exactly what Kitty said, what you need versus what you want. And for your very first apartment, like you want to get your needs and you want to get some of your wants, but just like get used to the idea that you're not going to get all of your wants.
Yeah.
Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Listeners, if there's a question you'd like for us to answer, go to bitchesgetriches.com and click Ask the Bitches.
There is only one way to guarantee that we will answer your question, and that is to become a Patreon donor.
If you like what we do and you want us to keep going, please become a Patreon donor and support us with whatever donation amount you are comfortable with.
We also have a merch store where you can buy t-shirts and printable worksheets and more.
Finally, there are some free things you can do to say thanks. Please rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, whatever you use. It bumps us up on the charts and makes us easier to find. Follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Pinterest. And subscribe to our articles so you never miss a new one. You can do all of that at bitchesgetriches.com.
Hey, is there anything else they should know?
Yes. So, to bring this to your attention, let me talk a little bit about our Patreon. So, our Patreon is a way for our readers to support the blog. With each tier of donation, you get a different patron reward. So, for example, at one level, you get to ask us a personalized question and we'll answer it privately. At another level, you'll get a very fancy Bitches Get Riches tote bag. And at the highest level, you get to adopt us as your legal children.
Yeah, this started as like a joke amongst you and I where we were planning out like what are the different Patreon tiers going to be. And then we kind of got to this absurdly high number of $100 a month. And we were like, who would give us $100 every month?
It's our moms.
It would just be our moms.
It's our fucking moms.
You get to choose which one of us will become your daughter, and it will be canon. It will be writ in the laws, in the lore of Bitches Get Riches.
In the book of bitches.
This person is our mother.
Yes. So we want to do a special shout out to Patreon donor Cormac, who officially has achieved the right to adopt one of us as their daughter.
Cormac ultimately decided that their daughter will be Piggy.
In your face! Nanny nanny boo boo, stick your head in doo-doo.
I'm fine with it.
Listen.
I'm so happy for you, and I'm not upset.
I don't feel sorry for you
I'm fine.
at all. I earned this honor. I have a new mom now, and their name is Cormac, and you can just cry in the shower for the rest of your days. So I'm not sorry at all.
I will.
And you should.
You know what? I'm gonna find a new mom. I'm gonna find a better mom. I'm gonna find a mom who can beat up your mom. How's that?
Don't talk about my mom that way.
I'll talk about your mom that way.
Don't talk about my mom that way.
Because your mom a hoe.
Oh my. Listen.
I'm really happy for you. I'm so glad that you have a mom. I'm gonna just, like an orphan, press my face up against the glass as you share Christmas goose together with your new family.
I'm gonna eat that goose with the biggest shit-eating grin on my face, like grease smeared all around, oblivious to your pain, and just living the life of privilege and luxury that my new mom has decided to afford me.
Listeners, if you're interested in joining me in living my realness, which is my little match girl realness, you can head on over to patreon.com/bitchesgetriches, become my mom. And you know what? You're going to be a cool mom.
Whoa, 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 whoa. My mom is a cool mom. Listen, they picked me, so I am clearly
exactly.
The daughter of a
how
cool
can
mom.
Cormac be cool?
Oh shit. Oh, fuck. Okay, good to know. Bitches out!
Save me, Mom.
No, Mom, save me!
Gotta get a new mom.